those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Monday episode of Running Point, the last episode of January. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty. As soon as he pops in, Ty, you coming?
Yeah, we're here. We're here.
There you go, Ty.
Adjusting a few computers right now. Busy weekend after we had brackets come out too. We'll be talking about that today, but we have a whole recap of games that went on over the course of the weekend.
Ty, this is my favorite time of year. I'm so giddy. We have brackets out. We know where these girls' teams are going to go. I remember very fondly just going and watching tournaments as a high school and middle school student. A full day at a place, it's not like that anymore. You don't have sectionals and districts in one place. But still, nothing beats tournament time in basketball. And we finally got our brackets. We got our seedings as well. We're going to dive into those. We're going to talk to Stephen Mara from West Branch, who has committed to play football at Ashland. He also had a very successful weekend this week at the EOWLs. We're going to talk to him at 12:30. We're going to break down our brackets. We still have games to pick, still big games going on in the regular season tonight. And, of course, we're going to dive into these brackets, probably get to 1 and 2, divisions 1 and 2 today, maybe move 3 and 4 tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're just going to kind of play it by ear, but I mean, super exciting weekend that went on in basketball. It's one of my favorite times of the year too, but I don't know about you, Anthony, but this year feels a little bit more personal for me just because we've had the opportunity to talk and have so many coaches and players on this. It's like you're rooting for 100+ teams in the playoffs. They all kind of got to play each other, but it really feels personal this time around with all of our teams. And
like everything, I think Ysn, we just hope that as many of our teams can get as far as they can.
And we're definitely looking at their odds here, especially in all these divisions coming up this week.
All right, let's go into our recaps real quick for the weekend. We had a lot of games on Friday and Saturday, and we'll just run through the scores real quick, and we'll get a couple of post-game interviews up as well. As Hubbard, they beat Niles 54-46 on Friday to get the win inside the NE8. Salem had a heck of a week, I'll tell you that much. They beat Marlington on Tuesday, and they take down their rival West Branch on Friday, 56-39, all Salem in this one. We move on. Jackson Milton beat McDonald 54-48. Big win for Jackson Milton and a big road win. You know, we said it before. Oh, man, Jackson Milton, usually a good home team. Can they get that big win on the road? This time they went on the road and they beat McDonald in their home gym. So great win for Jackson Milton.
Yeah.
Wanted to give a shout out to Jack Lindak from Badger, who scored his 1,000th point on Friday as well. Badger gets the win. 60, and then we move on. 68-55. Jefferson gets the win over Girard. That was a big one in the NE8, is jockeying for that spot where you're still in contention to make a run at Struthers, who is one game up in the NE8. So Girard takes a big step forward. Liberty keeps rolling 51-46. They get the win over Newton Falls.
That's a nice win for them too, to keep pace and everything. And good win for Liberty.
Proving they can win when their offense isn't scoring 80. I mean, they scored 80 plus on Tuesday. This time their defense kind of won the game for them, 51-46. We move on to South Range. They get the win over Lakeview on the road, 44-40. The Raiders are starting to put something together, and they could be dangerous down the stretch of the season. Struthers, they get the win over Poland 58-41. That keeps them in first place. Big win for the Wildcats. Wellsville, they are all over United this time, 75-44. They avenge an early season loss to the Eagles. We have Valley Christian getting the 2-point victory over Columbiana. 45-43, Eagles get the thrilling victory. We have Boardman. They bounce back. They've kind of riding that roller coaster all season. This time it's an uptick, 62-43. They take care of Howland. We have Garfield getting the win over Champion, 57-52. Then we have Heartland Christian owning Chalker, 86-49. Another game where Heartland gets into the 80s as an offense. Fantastic night for them. Camel Memorial, they had to go into overtime against LeBray, but they got it done, 76-68.
Yeah, that's a nice win too for Camel in that conference. They still got to play LeBray again. They still got to play Liberty again.
They
it's
have
going
a
to get
second
real
matchup
fun.
with LeBray too. Was that their first one?
That was their first, and both of them come at Liberty. So there's definitely a few teams that will have something to say in that conference.
Ursuline plays Benedictine. Sorry, not Berkshire. Benedictine, and they win 53-33 in Youngstown. And then we have Austintown. Fitch, you did this game. Oh, hitting a buzzer beater half court shot is Alan Underwood at the horn to give Fitch the 44-41 win in regulation. Another thriller on Friday is Latonia hit a walk-off shot to beat Lisbon 33-32, and that'll do it for our Friday scores. On Saturday, a big day for a couple of players. Want to give a shout-out to Elena Thigpen of Niles. She broke the program record for rebounds in a game. She had 20 rebounds in Niles' win over Cheney. Big day for Thigpen. Anthony Lucente, he's a junior, and he is the newest member of the 1,000-point club in Lowville. He gets to 1,000 with 15 points on Saturday in Lowville's win. West Branch got to bounce back with a win on Saturday as they beat Tuscarora Central Catholic 57-55. We have girls basketball. Beaver Local held on to beat East Palestine 47-40. Back to boys basketball. East Liverpool, they beat St. Clairsville 78-72. East Liverpool is officially your 2022 Buckeye 8 champions in boys basketball. We go to Beaver Local boys basketball. They took care of Union Local 70-59. Then we move on to another boys game as Camel. They were able to handle Fitch 65-54. Big 2 wins for Camel on the weekend. JFK, they got the win over Lakeview 75-60 in boys basketball action. Another boys game is Lowville. That final score 55-40 over McDonald. Once again, Anthony Lucente getting the 15 points to get you the 1,000-point club as a junior. Now we go into the biggest upset of the day on Saturday. Cardinal Mooney went, and they got the home victory over number 1 ranked in the power ranking Salem and number 2 in their district Salem. Big win for Mooney on the day that the seeds get announced. They make a statement to the whole district that we can pretty much beat anybody in this bracket if we put our minds to it. 38-36, Mooney gets to win a defensive game, and I got the chance to talk with Coach Diorio and a couple of the key players in Mooney's victory. Let's hear what they all had to say in this post-game press conference. Sorry about that. Lost my cursor real quick. Found it.
I was going to say, maybe.
Wait for it. This is Elena Scavina. 38-36 win over Salem. You came out in the first half. You were scoring at a high percentage. What was in that big start for you guys?
We were super hyped up for this game. We knew this was big. We've had a lot of big games this year, a lot of D1 big schools, and we haven't shown up for those. And so this one, we were really motivated, working hard. We knew this was a big one going forward in the playoffs.
It seems like perfect timing. The seeds came out today. You knew where they stood. You knew where you stood. What kind of momentum does that bring you guys, knowing that, okay, we're playing the number 2 team now. We have to get hyped up?
that just fires you up because you want to win to show everyone you can beat the high seeds in this area and we can go far in the playoffs and they should be scared.
As one of this team's leaders, what were you saying to your teammates down the stretch? Salem kept making runs. You guys kept making big plays to stay in front.
We were just telling each other to keep composure, solid defense, no fouls, and we just needed to play solid on offense and not throw the ball away.
You had 12 first half points. They started to key in on you in the second half. What's it mean to you that you have teammates that will step up and, shoulder those scoring when defense is really locked down on you?
It means so much that I can rely on my team when that's happening. And even if I'm having a bad game that game, I can rely on them to carry us through.
What does this say about this team and their chances going forward in the tournament?
This says a lot about us. We have a lot of heart. We have a lot of dedication. And I think we're going to go far.
All right, Elena, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Anthony, are we here with tonight's player of the game, Sophie Diorio? 11 points tonight for you and your win over Salem. What's this mean for this team? I mean, it's a big win.
It just it was like a good motivator for us because we've been down a little bit.
Perfect timing. The seeds come out today. They're the 2 seed. You're the 16 seed. What kind of momentum does this give you guys?
It gives us good momentum and a big confidence booster for us.
Most of your points came in the second half. What kind of adjustments did you guys make at halftime to try to open you up a little bit?
We just tried to drive and kick it out a lot and pass the ball.
And when players like Elena Scavina get slowed down a little bit by defenses, what's it mean to you guys that players like you and Angelina and Maria can step up and give you guys some points?
It means a lot because when one of our players is down, when the defense is on them, there's other people out there who can score.
Talk about your defense real quick, defensive mindset. You held this team to 36 points. What did it take on defense?
We just kind of forced them to go left and they helped a lot.
All right, Sophie, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Anthony Hartwig here with Angelina Scavina, a senior leader of this Moody team. Big 38-36 win over Salem. What's this mean to this team?
This was a huge win for us because the seeding all came out today. And, we're seeded, I think, 16th, and they were second. So this was a huge win for us, and it just shows, who we can compete with in our district.
Well, talk about perfect timing to get this win right as the seedings come out. What was the confidence level of this team coming into this game?
We knew we had to handle, a huge game, and I think everyone was a little bit nervous at times, but we found our way, and we ended the game pretty good.
You don't show up big on the stat sheet, but, man, you had some really high-pressure free throws down the stretch. What was going through your mind on the line in a close game?
I was like, I just these are free throws. I got to make them while I can because it's going to sell the game.
You knew they were going to make a run as a senior. What kind of leadership did you show to keep your team calm when Salem was going to make their runs?
I told my team we have to, calm down on offense and make sure that we control the ball and no turnovers, nothing stupid. Just take care of the ball as we could.
And, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
All right. Anthony Hartwig here with head coach Tom Diorio after Moody's big win over Salem, 38-36. Coach, what kind of momentum is this heading forward? That's the number 2 team in your district.
Right, and we talked about it, and we've kind of, we've shown flashes of what we can do, but, we finally put almost a full game together, and I think, hopefully we proved to ourselves that's what we're worried about, that we can play with any team in our district. So this is, this is huge for us.
Tonight was all about defense. You really held Salem down. They went in the first quarter. I believe they only had one shot from the field.
Right.
What was your defensive mindset tonight, and what worked so well?
Well, we really worked on, watching them. They have really good athletes, and they're a really good team, and they shoot well. So we worked on, just staying with them, forcing them to their weak hand, and making them come to the weak side is, that's kind of what we focused on today, and then making sure that nothing was uncontested. That was the key.
Elena Scavina had a big first half. And then they slowed her down, but Sophie Diorio stepped up and had a big second half. What's it mean to this team that you can have different players step up at any course of the game?
Well, we've been looking for that. We haven't really had that yet. We've had, one girl maybe here and a different girl here. Girls can step up when we need them to, and that's going to be huge going into the playoffs.
And then down the stretch, it was all about free throws. I believe you guys were 18 and 25 at the line.
Right.
Talk about what that means to you and how proud that makes you as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you're going to win close games, and you're going to, that's what's going to need to happen when we get into the playoffs, because, each round is going to get a better team, and if you're hitting free throws, especially at the end of the game, that's how you can seal victories for you.
Coach, how do you use this one as momentum heading forward?
I think it's more about our own self-confidence. I think we proved ourselves, because I think there was, we've had, an up and down season, and, most of the big games that we've been in, we haven't really shown up for. And I think this here just gives us our own self-confidence. And if we believe in ourselves, I know we can play with anybody.
Coach, congratulations on the win, and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
That was head coach the Cardinal Moody Cardinals, Dom Diorio, and then seniors Angelina Rotuno and Elena Scamina, and then also Sophia Diorio, all with interviews after that big win over Salem, the upset over Salem for Cardinal Moody. And a big win when you look at brackets, because it came out that day that seeding wise, Salem was going to be the 2, Moody was going to be the 16, and I think Moody just proved to the entire district that they can't be forgotten about.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at these brackets too, which I am right now, we'll get to it a little bit down the line, but there's some top 10 teams that presumably, if Mooney gets out of the first round, they're going to have to deal with this Lady Cardinals team, and they're getting some big wins and a lot of momentum right before the tournament, as Mooney seems to always do.
We are so antsy to get to that bracket breakdown, but first, let's just continue these final scores. Garfield went into overtime. They beat champion 55-52. Sarah Seaman hit some really important free throws down the stretch in overtime to win it, and Garfield gets the win. Big win inside the MVAC to make it even more confusing on who has the upper hand. Final score in Niles' Cheney game that we talked about a little bit earlier, 52-28. The Dragons get the win. Crestview holds on late. They beat United 44-41. This was a game where Crestview had about a 7-point lead with a minute and a half to go. United made it close, and Crestview got the win. It was able to hold on. We have West Branch getting the win over Canton South, 54-35. They are 2 wins away for 800 as a program. They are at 798. Canfield gets the win over Boardman, 50-26. Then we have Louisville. They fell to North Canton Hoover, who's the 5 seed in Division 1, 45-28.
A lot of big games too that have happened where all these teams are getting big wins, and I mean these are the type of wins you need to generate momentum before playoffs and before that tournament starts. Any way you can get it, and any way you can get that ball rolling, man, that's what you'll take going into it. So good wins for a lot of teams over the weekend.
All right, so you want to do this? You want to start this bracket breakdown? Stephen Morrow is supposed to be coming on in about 15 minutes, so we have time to kind of dive in here and see what we got looking at. Let's go with the seeds first. Let's just go through all the seeds, and then we'll dive into the brackets. I think that sounds like a solid plan.
Sounds good. All
right, let's bring up the seeds real quick. You can also see how on this link you can see how other teams voted as well, which might be some motivating factors for some teams that might have gotten 1 or 2 teams that voted them down, a seed or whatever, what have you. So let's go with Division 1. We'll start there, and here are the seeds as far as this goes. This is in seed order. Hoban got the 1 seed. There's a shocker. Glen Oak is 2. Stowe Monroe Falls is 3. Green is 4. Maslin Jackson is 5. We have Brush at 6. Solon at 7. New Philadelphia at 8, North Canton Hoover at 9. So I apologize. They were not 5 seeded, they were 9 seeded. Perry at 10. Walsh Jesuit is 11. You have Eastlake North at 12. Howland at 13. Canfield at 14. Louisville at 15. So all three of our YSN teams got those 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And then we have Riverside at 16, sorry. Mayfield at 17. Fitch is 18. Ellett is 19. Canton McKinley is 20. We have Nordonia at 21. 22 is Mentor. 23 is Aurora. 24 is Marietta. 25 is Madison. Cuyahoga Falls comes in at 30. Am I there yet? No, 26. I don't know why I got the 29, 25, 26. Hudson is 27. Kenmore Garfield 28. Uniontown Lake 29. Roosevelt 30. Chardon 31. Willoughby South 32. Boardman is 33. Warren Harding 34. Maslin Washington 35. We have 36 is Ashtabula Lakeside. Euclid is 37, and then Akron North is 38. And Akron North is the only team without a win.
That's impressive that every team is at least competitive in some aspect.
What's really impressive is that way down at the bottom, we see Maslin Washington at 35. But I did their game against Fitch, and they were very competitive against that Fitch team that's ranked all the way up above them at 18. So 35 can beat 18 in this bracket. I mean, we've seen it. Madison Washington only lost by 6. They definitely have playmakers. Everyone in Division I seems to have at least one player or two that can just go and take over a game. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely, and I mean that's what you look for, those playmakers down the stretch, and we'll be looking for those playmakers coming up here, because that's what you lean your hat on, is your senior leadership, your playmakers into the playoffs. But sometimes you also need those role players to step up to get you those big wins. So anybody can beat anybody. It's just all about who has the big nights.
While we have them up, let's just go through the seeds of the other divisions real quick, and then we'll go back to Division I for the bracket. We have Division II. Marlington got the 1 seed. Salem got the 2. Perry with the 3. West Branch with the 4. Poland with the 5. So we were absolutely right with those ones being 1 through 5. Whatever order you wanted to put them in, it was kind of clear that those would be the top 5 teams. West Geauga right below Poland at 6. We have Kenston at 7. Canton South at 8. Chagrin Falls at 9. Southeast at 10. And no, Southeast moved up to Division II. Streetsboro at 11, Struthers at 12, Girard at 13, Geneva at 14, Painesville Harvey at 15, Cardinal Mooney at 16, Lake Catholic at 17, Jefferson at 18. Then we have Notre Dame Cathedral Latin at 19. Hubbard is 20, Alliance 21, Ravenna 22, Lakeview 23, Edgewood 24, Field 25, East 26, Cheney 27, and Niles is the 28th seed in the district. We go to Division III, and these seeds kind of worked out pretty interestingly, as the 1 seed is Liberty, Brookfield gets the 2, Garfield gets the 3, Champion gets the 4, and Waterloo gets the 5. So 4 out of the top 5, actually all the top 5 are in some way, shape, or form in the MVAC.
Yeah, and I mean, you can tell that's a great basketball conference, and doesn't disappoint again this year. We talked about it being one of the best going into this year, and they didn't disappoint at all. It's a great competitive one.
Kirtland is the 6, South Range is the 7, Rootstown the 8, United the 9, Berkshire is 10, Pymachining Valley 11, LeBray 12, Crestview 13, Mogador 14, Columbiana 15, Ursuline 16, Crestwood 17, Wycliffe 18, St. Thomas Aquinas 19, Grand Valley is 20, Camel Memorial is 21, Middle Ridge 22, Conneaut 23, and East Palestine is 24. One more division to go as far as the seeds, and it is Division 4, and it lines up like this. Bristol is the 1 seed. Springfield is the 2. Southern Local is the 3. Jackson Milton is the 4. McDonald the 5. Maplewood 6. Western Reserve 7. So look at Western Reserve. They have wins over 4 and 5, and they went into overtime with 2. So Western
D4
Reserve
is
has to
gonna
be
be
feeling pretty
anybody's
confident
ball game.
in that 7 seed.
Yeah, D4 is anybody's ball game, honestly, too, it feels like.
Badger is 8. Lisbon is 9. Latonia is 10. JFK is 11. Lowville is 12. Matthews is 13. Newton Falls 14. Middlefield Cardinal is 15. I think they're a lot more dangerous than that would indicate. Youngstown Valley Christian is 16. Wellsville 17. East Canton is 18. Wyndham 19. Ashtabula St. John is 20. Chalker 21. And then Heartland 22. Sebring 23. And Lordstown is 24. Lordstown, the only team in the district to not have a win.
And I mean, like we said, too, districts are so competitive. I mean, the competitive balance of all the districts this year has really come down more towards even right now.
Okay, so here's how brackets work. The seeds are announced on Saturday. On Sunday, the coaches have the opportunity. The 1 seed picks a bracket first, and then everyone else just kind of picks in that order. 2 can pick whatever bracket they want to go into, so they can have their own bracket, or they can go after the 1 seed and be in theirs. And then 3 picks, 4 picks, 5 picks, 6 picks, so on. So that's how these teams decide where they want to go on the bracket. And without further ado, let's release these brackets and see what we have to work with in Division 1. We will go to the Maslin Perry District first in Division 1, and it is going to be Glen Oak, the top seed in this district, has the 2. They will play the winner of Kent Roosevelt and Boardman. That game going on February 12th at 1 o'clock, and it'll be at the higher seeds place. So it'll be at Roosevelt, who's the 30 seed, playing Boardman, the 33 seed. So Boardman will be on the road to start the tournament. We go to the next line of the bracket. It is New Philadelphia, the 8th seed. They'll get the bye. They'll play the winner of Hudson versus Louisville. That is 15 versus 27. That game will happen on the 12th at Louisville at 1 o'clock. We go to the next line of the bracket. It is Maslin Jackson, the 5 seed. They will play the winner of Chagrin Falls versus Akron Kenmore Garfield. That game will be on the 12th at 1 o'clock, and it will be at Chagrin Cuyahoga Falls, who is the 26th seed. We move on to the next line. It is Canfield. No bye here. They get the 14 seed. They will play in a first-round matchup with Warren Harding, who's the 24 seed. That game will be at Canfield on the 12th at 1 o'clock. And then they will play the winner. If they win, they will play the winner of Madison versus Howland. That game is set for, like everything else, February 12th, 1 o'clock. That'll be 13-seeded Howland versus 25-seeded Madison. So all of our teams, I believe, are in this district.
Yeah, I believe
the pitch.
Yeah, all of the teams
It's
are
into the Ravenna.
They're in the district with Hoban.
Ravenna.
Yeah, that Ravenna district. They're the only one out of it.
So we look at this district. Every one of our teams has a sectional matchup. Louisville, the 15, they're playing for a chance to play New Philly, who they've already beaten this year. And then they're on the side of the bracket of Glen Oak. So Glen Oak's the top seed in this bracket as the 2 overall. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this bracket in a bit. But for now, Ty, we're going to actually be joined by a very special guest. It is going, as soon as I find my cursor, pesky cursor today, it is going to be Stephen Mara of West Branch, and he's got some big news. Stephen, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
We're doing good. We're happy to have you on again. Another appearance on Running Point. We hear that you have some big news that you were able to release on Friday. We don't want to take that limelight away from you. So why don't you tell everybody what you announced on Friday and why we're so excited to have you on today?
I just recently committed to Ashland University for football.
Awesome. And when you look at that decision and it's Ashland, what kind of things went into it? What kind of things drew you to Ashland, and what kind of things really made it that your landing spot?
Just talking to the coaches, I like them a lot. And when I went up to visit and looking at the facilities, they had a lot of nice places, and they're really good in like the major I wanted, which is to go into like teaching and coaching also. So I just liked a lot about it, and then also like the financial aspect was another big part in choosing the college, and it just met all the things it had to. So yeah.
How excited are you to be able to continue your football career? As we know, I mean, there's not like clubs that you can kind of go out and play football for. It ends at the high school level unless you can get that opportunity to play. So, how excited are you to have that guaranteed 4 years if you want to continue playing the sport you love?
It's super exciting. It's pretty much a dream come true playing college football, and yeah, I've been waiting for that forever pretty much, and it's nice that it's actually happening now.
Go through that moment, like you said, you've been thinking about it forever, and you finally get a commitment, and you know it's a reality. What kind of goes through your head, and what kind of emotions kind of overflowed with you when you finally got that commitment, and you realize that this dream you've had for a while is now going to be a reality?
It was a big relief actually, because like the recruiting process and everything was kind of stressful. Just knowing where I'm going now, it's just nice with that weight lifted off my shoulders. It was just a good feeling overall, knowing that I'm gonna get to keep playing for the next couple years coming up.
How much do you credit the West Branch community and school district for allowing you to get to this next level?
Oh, definitely a ton. Like all the coaches I've had in high school have taught me pretty much everything I know and have got me to where I am today. Like working out and everything with the coaches and the community also, like getting me a lot of recognition, such as like the big dog during the football season as well. So I owe a lot of it, if not most of all of it, to the West Branch community and staff.
Perfect segue, because we're waiting on the results. We don't have them in yet, but you were up for Big Dog of the Valley nominee as far as your wrestling here in the winter. You could be a two-time winner. What kind of things stood out to you in the West Branch community, and seeing them continue to support you in the winter sports season as much as they did in the football season?
Yeah, if I could win it again, that would be crazy. And that'll just show you like how much the West Branch community really cares about us athletes and them having my back through it all. So yeah, it's just crazy to think that I could win it twice in two different spurts.
When we talk on Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altsizer, he talks to us a lot about how a lot of football athletes will participate in wrestling in the winter because it helps with balance, it helps with coordination. Do you find that wrestling directly helps you on the football field when you participate in both sports?
Yeah, I definitely think it does. A lot on like the mental aspect and like work ethic, because wrestling's taught me a lot in that, but also with this like body control on your hips and balance, like you said, it definitely helps a lot. That's why we try to get a lot of our football players to wrestle, because it definitely helps them.
You're wearing the hoodie, the EOWL, which happened this weekend at Fitch. Give us a little recap of your weekend and what it's like to play in that big, play or participate or whatever you want to say. I don't for wrestling. Ty, you got me all screwed up now.
I got myself screwed up with that one.
What was it like to be a part of that tournament? I know it's one of the biggest ones in the whole state of Ohio. Forget this Northeast Ohio. What was it like to be a part of it, and what was your experience like this year?
It's definitely probably one of my favorite tournaments because I know a lot of people in it. It is actually my second time winning it this year. I won it last year too, and it was just a good tournament overall. I think I had 4 total matches, and the last match was actually a really good match, but I ended up kind of getting him in a good position and getting the pin also in that one in the finals, and that was on WKBN. But yeah, it was a great tournament. I really like it and enjoy it a lot.
Talking about what you've been able to accomplish too in your football career, obviously you check off this big goal of going to the next level. Now, what are some of the next football goals in the life of Stephen Marr, and what do you look to and what do you look forward to accomplishing now?
I really just want to improve myself and get better with the couple of years coming up, and hopefully getting to play in the college world also and playing some games. That's the goal pretty much.
All right, before we let you go, you still have a couple of months left in your senior year at West Branch as far as your schooling. What are some things? Is there anything left in the West Branch community that you haven't gotten to do at West Branch, or you're trying to get done before you call yourself a graduate?
Not really much. I haven't really thought about that much. I'm just trying to enjoy what I have left of my West Branch experience in high school and all, pretty much. Yeah.
Before you close that chapter on the West Branch one and open up the next level, what is your favorite or one of your favorite West Branch football memories?
Definitely the Salem game this year is probably my favorite memory. That game was insane. Yeah.
That was certainly a big game too. I mean, we were loaded on the network with it too. I don't think we could find a more exciting game than West Branch Salem, and you got to be a huge part of it too. And you guys came out on the right side of it as well.
Steven, we
yeah,
love it.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that one definitely takes the cake for probably my best sports memory at West Branch.
It's got it. It's one of our best memories. This is the football season in general. Forget just West Branch, but we love having you on. We want to congratulate you on your commitment to Ashland and your continued success on the wrestling mats as well. Thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully tomorrow for you, you can see your name back on that Big Dog of the Valley winner. We'll see.
Yep, I hope that happens. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You got it.
Yep, thank you.
That was Stephen Mara, the Mr. Do Everything of West Branch. He's a great football player, obviously a great wrestler as well, winning his second straight EOWL tournament in his weight division. Couldn't thank him enough for his time. Love having him on. Second time on Running Point. Not a lot of, we haven't had too many players that they get twofers, and he's one of the special ones.
Yeah, certainly, and I mean, he's definitely one that's been able to appear on both of them just because of his skill, his work ethic, and his community support. Let him win it in football. We'll see if they can back him up 2 for 2 with wrestling as well.
I think that, he said the mental aspect. I think that's such an important. Everyone talks about how much wrestling helps physically in football, but I think the mental game really gives you an edge too.
How much does winning a big dog help in wrestling? Because Sean O'Hara won the first one, and he just won a pretty big tournament for it, too. We'll have to talk with Gary about that a little bit on Wednesday. But whoever wins big dog, you might be in for a big week coming up.
I think there's a big dog boost.
Yeah, there might be a big dog boost to those winners. O'Hara definitely got a little bit of one with a huge win over the course of the weekend. I can't wait to talk with Gary about that.
Man, I can't wait for more. Gary's going to be so ecstatic to come back on this week, and we have some big winners to talk about. We'll also have the Bayer Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winner to talk about, as well as the new nominees as well. So don't miss Gary Altizer on Wednesday. That'll be a fun one for more wrestling coverage. Let's dive back into this bracket. This is the Maslin Perry bracket in Division 2, and in case you're just joining us, Glen Oak, the 2 seed, will be the top seed in this bracket. They will be joined by almost all of our Division 1 teams. Louisville is in this one, Canfield as well, and so is Howland. Austintown Fitch, the only one that went into Ravenna. So we look at Louisville. They are in a first-round sectional semifinal matchup on February 12th. They will play Aurora. That'll be in Louisville at 1 o'clock. The winner plays New Philadelphia. And New Philadelphia is a team that Louisville has already beat by 7.
Louisville was aware of this, and that's why Louisville scheduled up too. So we're breaking this down, I think, a little bit more. You want to go through the actual games first, okay?
Right. So we'll start with Louisville because they're the first one that appears on the bracket from top down.
I gotcha. Yeah, should be a fun one though.
And we've already said it. This Division 1, you can't take anybody lightly. We saw 35 Maslin Washington. They have some players, and they almost beat Fitch, who's up there at 16, and what I say 18. They're somewhere in there. But you can't count anybody out. So this Aurora team, they can't be dismissed just because they're a 27 seed.
For as special as Hoban is, all it takes is one night, one bad night,
one bad day.
One bad day is all it takes,
or one bad half.
And you don't think Hoban's telling themselves that? Everyone's got to tell themselves that. One bad day, one bad half. It's all it takes sometimes.
I'm over it. We're good. So Aurora, the 27, you can't be overlooked. Louisville's got to make sure their T's are crossed and their I's are dotted. But I think their independent schedule will help them. And Ty, where'd you go, bud? Ty's gone. I think the independent schedule will help them, though. They definitely schedule. There you are.
A little bit of a coughing.
I thought you ditched me. I thought you pieced out.
Yeah, just left. No.
What do you have to say about this Louisville Aurora matchup? I know you did some research when the brackets came out. You got what do you got for us?
Looking at it too, Louisville, they're in a position to. Is it Louisville Aurora or Louisville Hudson that you're looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I was saying Aurora. It's Hudson.
Yeah, I know you were talking Aurora too. You had Aurora on the mind, but yeah, Louisville Hudson. Louisville obviously coming in 12 wins on the season. Hudson with 7. Both teams have similar opponent, Western Reserve Academy, on their schedule, in which both teams came away victorious against. Louisville, the second highest scoring team under our YSN coverage in Division 1 at 53.8 points per. Points against, they allow about 45.1. On the other side, Hudson, in their 7 wins, averages about 47.8 points per. They allow about 48.3, so only a half-point average more. The differential in that is Louisville right now is plus 13.7 points in the diff. In Hudson's case, they are minus a half a point in the point differential on the season. So that's I mean, all of it, take it with not necessarily a grain of salt. There's something to be had with both of those stats, but obviously we know anyone can beat anybody. But the one stat I'm looking at, Hudson might not average the same amount of points. Louisville averages about 6 more per game than they do, but both teams are right under 50 points a game. This is going to be a difficult matchup for Louisville in the first round.
Yeah, and I feel like you're going to say this about a lot of Division I schools, but you look at Hudson's schedule. They're playing Kenston. They're playing Willoughby South. They play North Royalton, a lot of Twinsburg, Lindsley. You have Nordonia on the schedule, Wadsworth. It's not like there's no Federal League matchups. They don't play Green. They don't play Hoover. They're not playing Canton McKinley. So schedule-wise, I give Louisville absolutely the edge.
I think so as well, and I think that's why Coach Kudo and the Lady Leopards scheduled the way they did too, and averaging 53, almost 54 points a game against the teams you had to face off against this year. That's pretty good point totals for the Lady Leopards, and that's a pretty solid offense. I'd watch out for Louisville in this playoff.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think Louisville is just better prepared, sharper. Not to say that they can go and not show up, but that's the thing that's so dangerous about Division I, though. Like, every team is good enough to beat you even if you don't show up. There are some teams in other divisions that, like, you would have to not even get off the bus to not beat.
There's
no one like that in Division I.
I don't know if I would. I mean, yes, I think it would be an upset for Hudson, but I mean, there's definitely more staggering numbers that we've seen on these games, because as far as Louisville is concerned, they're only averaging 6 points more per game against Hudson, and as far as defense is concerned, they're only allowing 3 points less per game than Hudson. As my dogs are just going nuts in this house, running all over the place. But yeah, you look at those schedules too. Hudson's right there. And that's what we're saying. A bad night for Louisville is really all it takes for that kind of upset to occur. That's
and of course
one is.
Those numbers with Louisville, like I said before, against a much better schedule. But
they have faced better defenses too. So there's definitely more you have to look at in there.
All right, we go into the next matchup in this bracket. It's Canfield. They'll get to host Warren Harding. This is going to be a team that they're very familiar with. I mean, they're going to play them again. I've already played them once. Harding's got, like Hudson, they got some players, but this is a favorable draw for Canfield, playing someone that they're very familiar with.
I'd say it's favorable, yeah, as considering too, Canfield they're in the same conference as well as, like you said, Canfield as of right now is 4-1 in the conference, as Harding, I believe, has yet to win a game in the conference right now, 0-3. They have played each other too. Canfield won that matchup 51-8, I believe, was the score in that one. Let me double check and see if
Wait
I
a minute.
typed that one correct, because that might be a little bit off. Let me double check. 51-18. My apologies.
Not much better.
The one got deleted, but I mean, I don't want to keep them under 10 points there. 51-18 in the one head-to-head matchup Canfield has with Harding. They play again this upcoming Wednesday. Points per game, Canfield is averaging 50.2 and allowing 31.5. Harding averaging 39.1 points per, allowing 47.8. And this is what we're talking about. Canfield going in with 12 wins, Harding with 4. Unlike the Louisville-Hudson matchup, this one's a little bit more staggering. Canfield averaging a full 11 points more per game than Harding, as well as allowing a full 16 points less than Harding on the defensive side. This one's a very heavily favored Canfield team in this matchup.
And I think this is also a respect nod to Warren Harding, putting him as a 24 seed. Because I mean, their record. What's their record? Maybe 4 wins.
They have 4 wins. Their record overall is 4-11.
So you have 4-11, and then Hudson's the 27 seed with what, 6 wins? You said
7 wins. 7
wins for Hudson. They're sitting there. They're the 27 seed. So I think Warren Harding. Everyone knows what they were last year. I think there's a couple of probably a lot of teams in this Division I bracket that are like, that's not a good record, but they have to be talented, right? We saw them run the show last year. So I think they're getting a lot of respect because of the name. And that happens in Division I because it's so spread out. There are so many teams that have never seen you play this year that are going just based off a record and what they've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I mean that's just that is the case here, but it ends up being, I would think, a favorable matchup for Canfield. But hey,
this is interesting. What do you do on Wednesday? Because now you know this is your first district matchup. Canfield, they got to win that game, of course, because they're still in the hunt for the AAC because they have Howland on Saturday. Do you worry about how much you show, though?
If I'm Coach Caputo with Harding, I don't know if I show him anything. I think I start.
You just conceded almost, not like conceded.
Not conceded, but I'm starting a lot of my younger talent. I'm getting a lot of my role players ready for the playoff matchup coming up. Then I'm going to start some younger players and be like, you need to see what this team's like at full strength, what they're going to come at you with, because I need you ready for the playoffs. I think you might see Caputo put in a lot more of his younger talented girls, because you can't show Canfield anything here. You can't, not that you can't play to win. You always play to win, but you can't show Canfield the book in this game. You can't afford to, I don't think.
You can't sacrifice your what advantage you might have in the district tournament to get one regular season win. That's what you're saying, I think.
Yeah,
you want to win, but you can't. You have to be a little bit smart about what you give up for that.
Big thing is you play tomorrow after this. You don't end the tournament if you lose. That's the biggest thing. And this is one where you can get a lot of those younger girls just a little bit more experience. Just getting that look against Canfield before you go into a tournament against them is, I think, going to be beneficial for Harding. I think this matchup in particular benefits Harding more than it does Canfield in the regular season.
All right, let's go to the top of the bracket and talk about this Boardman versus Kent Roosevelt game. This one will be in Roosevelt. It is the 30 seed Roosevelt versus the 33 seed Boardman.
And pretty close too. Roosevelt has 6 wins on the year. Boardman has 5. No similar opponents. Kent Roosevelt averaging 43.1 points per, 48.5 points against. Boardman 38.5 points per, 47.9 points against. Difference for both teams. For Kent Roosevelt, their difference is minus 5.4 in the point differential. For Boardman, on the other side, their point differential, what would that be? Minus 9.4 for Boardman. Biggest thing to look at, too, points against. Boardman is allowing 0.6 points less per game than Kent Roosevelt. Kent Roosevelt, though, is averaging just under 5 points a game better than Boardman at 4.6. Biggest thing to look at this, both teams allowing the same amount on defense. Boardman's offense has just been the one questionable, averaging under 40. They have good nights sometimes, they have bad nights. They're going to need to be able to, I would think, put up 40, but like we said, Roosevelt's allowing 48.5 per game. So this one, it's kind of a toss-up for me in this one as well.
Yeah, and the winner gets Glen Oak.
So that's what you end up with. But this is still good for both programs to try to get that tournament win, that first tournament win. Kent Roosevelt having this be at home is going to help out a little bit of travel in store for Boardman coming up to the Kent area. But it really, for Boardman to win, they just need to have a good offensive night because defenses are pretty much chalk. They're doing pretty much the same thing. Strength of schedule, I'd say, is pretty similar between both teams. I mean, they both have great teams that were on there, both have some easier teams that they had to deal with. But yeah, the biggest thing is Kent Roosevelt averages about 5 points a game better than Boardman. But all it really takes is Boardman just needs to have that good offensive night and get things rolling from the jump. They can't be stagnant for a quarter or two.
And Boardman has 5 wins, but remember, 4 of those 5 wins have come in like the last 3 weeks. So they're starting to really find some confidence as a team as well.
Big to get momentum right now. And they have some big young names stepping up right now. And that's the biggest X factor.
Yep, Mackenzie Riccatelli, of course. You got Goski in there. You got Emma Mills, who's not a young, but a senior, but stepping up in the post, has developed a lot this season. I've seen her the beginning of the year compared to when I saw her last week against Howland, and it was just night and day that her post moves have gotten better. Her ability to score in the post, her aggressiveness at the post have gotten a lot more too. So Emma Mills is a lot to handle. Reagan Smith as well. So you got a lot of pieces there for Boardman. They just, like you said, confidence is going to be key.
Confidence is absolutely going to be key. And I believe we have, 2 more games, Anthony, before we close the book on Division 1?
2 more games in this one more game in this bracket.
And then one more in the Ravenna district.
Right. So in this bracket, we have Howland, who is the 13 seed. They will host Madison, the 25 seed, on February 12th. That'll be at 1 o'clock. Howland is on some kind of roll right now, Ty. Their only loss in the last 2 months is to Akron Hoban after starting out the season 1-4.
Allen right now, too, compiling 13 wins on the season. Madison's going to come in with, right now, currently 7. Obviously, both those win totals can change. Howland averaging 55.2 points per game. That is the most under the YSN coverage in Division 1 for our girls' sides, just beating out Louisville. And they allow 41.5 points per game. That is a difference of 13.7 points per game. That they are up plus 13.7. Madison averages a decent amount too, 51.6 points per game. So they're a high scoring.
In this Division 1, there's this big log jam between like 12 and 28.
The biggest thing, though, is defense for Madison is the questionable one, allowing 52.8. So they are minus 1.2 points per in the diff. Looking at the offense, that's what I mean. That's what we like calling it, right? I mean, the differential. You want to just shorten it. That's what they call it at all the NBA games. They just call it the dip.
We have absolutely never used that.
I use
it for the first time right now.
You're getting it right here, right now, and we're going to continue using it on Running Point. At least you're going to see me using it. But Howland averaging about 3.6 points per game more than Madison. Defensively, though, a much improved team is Howland over Madison, averaging 11.3 points less per game than Madison. And I mean, Howland, as far as this is concerned, I think they're going to need to play that defense to come away winners in this one, because Madison, with that point per game, is telling me, and looking a little bit at their schedule, they can shoot. They can get into shootouts with you, and they could keep pace. Defensively, though, is where Howland, I think, needs to be able to lock this one down, because I know both these teams are going to be able to score, but I think Howland's defense is going to be able to slow Madison down a little bit more than Madison can slow Howland's down.
Madison plays a lot of Division II schools on their schedule. It looks like they're in a conference that's mainly Division II. I mean, you got you got Kinston twice on their schedule. They're D2. Jefferson's D2. West Geauga's D2. Perry is D2. So a lot of Division II schools. They might be a smaller D1, kind of like a Canfield. I think Howland they're set up really nicely here. They avoided Hoban's district, obviously, which is always a bonus. And then you look at it, and I think their biggest challenge to get to the highest seed in that side of the bracket is Madison Jackson, the 5 seed. But you look at it, if Canfield and Howland win, that's your sectional final.
That'd be a good matchup
It
too.
would be in Howland. So it's very, very real possibility that we see round 3. So then it makes it even more interesting. They play each other Saturday. If they both take care of business.
We talk about Harding not wanting. Who wants to show the book in that one? Because that one's a lot more even. That's a matchup too where you got to start thinking a little bit of your future. If you're Howland and Canfield, you're obviously going into that one not thinking that you're playing each other again, but you take it one game at a time. So what's the mentality going to be like going into that one?
And then obviously it's the league is on the line, right? The league is on the line.
You still want the conference too. You still absolutely want that conference.
Oh, that'll be a very interesting chess match on Saturday, assuming they both win on Wednesday, and set up this conference championship game.
Well,
it's not really a conference championship because Canfield has to win the tie. If Howland wins, they have it outright.
Yeah,
so,
we can obviously go a little bit deeper into these matchups as the tournament starts for tournament start time. We're just kind of giving you a little bit of an early look in at these teams. Obviously, there's still a few more regular seasons games to go, so a lot of these teams might get hot. They might change these points per game, the diff and everything. So we'll have to look at this. We'll look at all this again too as tournament gets closer. But that is the Massillon District for a Division I team.
At least it's not the diff, at least it's the diff and not the duff.
Yeah, there you go.
You go into that sectional final game, by the way, if Howland and Canfield would play each other, would be February 17th at 7:00. That's the date of all the Division I sectional finals, 17, 17, 17. And then your semifinals and finals for the districts would be on the 22nd, and then the final would be on the 25th for that Division I bracket in Massillon Perry.
The way you were leading in was how you lead in when you tell people like who's going to be at the game. So I was preparing for you to be like, I'm going to be there on February 17th. Like you already was like, I'll be there for Howland Canfield. You have some intel knowledge that we don't. It's Howland.
I think that's Noah Rick's show, man.
That's going to be what a fun team for Noah Ricks to cover in the playoffs, too. That's going to be exciting.
But yeah, well, those will be the dates for Division I. Massillon Perry will be the site for the district semis and district championship. I've been to Massillon Perry. It's a wonderful gym to be in. That's where the Division IV regional semis and finals are at. So we got to go there for McDonald's run last year. And it was a great experience. It's a great gym, and it'll be the host of that Division I district semis and championship. So, without further ado, let's go back into Division I, the one bracket that will have one of our YSN teams in. It is the Ravenna bracket, and it lines up like this. The top of the bracket is Akron Hoban, the 1 seed. They're not on the top line, but they are the top team. They will be on the bottom line of the bracket. They will not have a bye. They chose to take the sectional semifinal, so they will play the last seeded Akron North on February 12th. So we go to Fitch, and where is Fitch located on this one, you ask? Well, Fitch has a opening round game on February 12th, and they will be hosting Canton McKinley. That's 18 versus 20. Seed-wise, the closest matchup that we get in a YSN sectional semifinal here in the YSN family.
Yep, and it is 12-win Fitch going up against 4-win Canton McKinley.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why 4-win Canton McKinley is up there at 20, well, they play in the Federal League.
Yeah, and that definitely helps out. Fitch averaging 51.3 points per game, allowing 43.2. That's an average of 8.1 plus 8.1 in the point differential, just about what they've been at all season. They've stayed consistent with that. Canton McKinley averages 44.2 points per, allows 47.6 for a clip of minus 3.2. 7.4 in the point differential. Points per game average between the two teams, Fitch averaging just a bit better at 7.1 points per, plus 7.1 on the points per game total to Canton McKinley. Defensively, allowing a little bit less as well at 4.4 per game, points per game less averaging than Canton McKinley on the defensive side. Only similar opponent, Fitch beat Massillon Washington earlier. Canton McKinley has a matchup with Massillon Washington, I believe either tonight or this week. And that's going to be the only real similar matchup or opponent that we're going to see. Fitch, of course, won against Massillon Washington. We'll have to see what Canton McKinley does against them now this weekend, just to kind of get a measuring stick, I guess, on what they did against a similar opponent.
And you'll look at the way they line up. They're in Hoban's district, but they're on opposite sides of the line. So they wouldn't have to match up with Hoban until a possible district championship. So a lot of things ahead of Fitch before they get to that point. The winner of that game will take on North Canton, who we just saw beat Louisville this weekend. So that game would be on February 17th, and then you go on to the dates. Just like the other district, it'll be 17th, 22nd for your semifinals, and then 25th for your finals. And that district will be held in Ravenna. So Ravenna will host the district semis and the district championship game.
Right in my backyard, Anthony. Right in my backyard.
Some of the other matchups in this district, just so you can get a grasp on what the bracket looks like. Mayfield, the 17 seed, will play Ellett, the 19 seed, in the sectional semifinal. Winner of that will play Walsh Jesuit, who's the 11 seed. We have Riverside, the 16 seed. They will play Mentor, the 22 seed, and the winner of that will go on to play Eastlake North, who's the 12. And then, of course, you have Akron Hoban, the 1 seed, playing North, the 38 seed, and the winner plays the 37 seed in Euclid. So you can just kind of Sharpie in Akron Hoban into the district semis.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of what Fitch had to do. They knew they were going to be stuck in that, I think, conference, and they decided to go with Hoban, just go on the other side of them. If you're going to meet them, you're going to meet them late then.
Yeah. So that'll do it for Division 1. Those are the 2 districts. But now we have a lot more teams in the other divisions. So now is when it gets really interesting, and we have a lot more to break down. Let's jump into Division 2. We already went with the seedings. Let's go into the different districts. We'll start with the Uniontown Lake District. This bracket can be found on the OHSA website. The district will be held at Uniontown Lake. And we start with the top of the bracket. Getting the bye is going to be Marlington, the 1 seed. And they will play the winner of Mogador Field and Ravenna. That is 25 versus 22. Now remember, those D1 games are going to happen on the 12th for sectional semifinals. D2 will be on the 16th. So these games will be on February 16th at 7 o'clock. Next line of the bracket, you have Canton South against Alliance. This is an 8 seed versus a 21 seed. And the winner of that will play the winner of the next game, which is Streetsboro versus Southeast. So those 2 winners will play each other. You go to the bottom half of the bracket. Edgewood gets the bye as the 24 seed, and then they will play the winner of West Branch, the 4 seed, and Niles, the 28 seed. That'll be at West Branch on the 16th at 7. Poland Seminary is the 5 seed. They will play Lakeview at the 23 seed, and you look at the winner of that will go on to play the winner of Hubbard and Cardinal Mooney. So we just talked about Cardinal Mooney. They'll have an opening round game against Hubbard, and then they'll play the winner of Poland Lakeview, and they play each other tonight too. Lakeview Poland.
Yep, they do. So I mean, it's going to be, there's a lot of interesting matchups too in that division too, and I mean a lot more teams that are prominent and a lot of teams that have appeared on the top 10 in the girls' side that have been on Division 2. So looking at all that, I mean, we're going to be in store for a very fun, very competitive Division 2 as well, just like all these other conferences are. But yeah, you're right, Anthony. I mean, Poland versus Lakeview, that's going to be who meets the winner of Mooney Hubbard. And we already know Mooney's on some kind of tear after that win against Salem, and they're focusing up, and they really believe that they can beat anybody right now.
A lot of fun matchups. We'll break them all down after we take our first break of the day. Break them all down after our break. Isn't that redundant? Who knows? So we'll take a timeout. We'll be back with more district breakdowns next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we dive back into these Division 1, Division 2, I should say, tournament brackets, and we are in the Uniontown Lake bracket right now. Marlington being the 1 seed. They are joined by the 4-seeded West Branch Warriors and the 5-seeded Poland as the next top seeds in this district. Interesting that that Salem, we talked about what Salem was going to do with Marlington if Marlington got the 1, if they were going to feel confident enough to go after them, or if they were going to say, let's have our own bracket. And then, well, obviously, now they have to, we're going to talk about it more, but now they have to deal with Perry, who beat them out of the district last year. So it'll be interesting. Let's start with these matchups here, though, for the ones in our YSN family.
You want me to go to Uniontown Lake first?
Yeah, we're in Uniontown Lake.
Okay.
That's where we are.
So,
and we'll start with, I believe the first one, if we go from top bottom, is West Branch versus Niles, which is 4 versus 28 tie. You know, I don't want to dive into this one too much. We know West Branch is the heavy favorite in this game. But, you know, I'm sure you have some stuff about it.
Yeah. 15-4 is West Branch going into this one. 2-14 is Niles. And, I mean, we're going to just be blunt about it. There's games where there's more staggering differences than others. I mean, that's just what you get with high seeds and low seeds. West Branch, I'm going to still give them the due diligence. They average 49.5 points per game this season. They allow 33.9. And for you folks at home that need a little bit of help understanding that one, that's about 15.4 in the point differential offensively to defensively for West Branch. So they're beating teams by an average of about 15 a game.
West Branch went to the lower side of the bracket. They will not meet Marlington unless they both get to a district final. So who they will have to contend with is Poland, who's right below them. And it's a familiar opponent. They're playing Lakeview tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? Poland is another one, too, that both those teams face. Niles was 0-2 versus Poland. West Branch was 1-0. That's just something unique that links these two teams. Poland and Lakeview, though, very similar with each other. Poland right now, like you said, is 1-0 versus Lakeview. They have a 55-22 win over Lakeview in this season. Poland is 10-1 in the NE8 in conference. Lakeview is 3-6. Those are for similar opponents. Poland on the year is 14-2. Lakeview is 6-10, averaging 54.8 points per game and allowing 36 points per. That is a difference of in the 18s. I want to say it's pretty. Let me double check though.
Let's do a caveat here. Lakeview has been playing much better of late. We saw them fight South Range tooth and nail. He was right there with Poland with one loss in the league. They only lost to South Range by 2 points. So we know Lakeview isn't going to lay down and die. We're gonna see a lot tonight to measure this matchup.
Here's the big thing. All right, Poland, like we said, 54.8 points per, 36 points against. They are plus 18.8 points per game. Lakeview on this other side, offensively has always been the struggle, averaging 32.1 points per, allowing 37.8, and that is a total of minus 5.7. But here's the interesting thing. Poland allows 36 a game. Lakeview allows 37.8. Lakeview, for them to beat Poland, I think that's the number. I mean, obviously it's not the whole. It's just it's one stat number, one stat line we're looking at. So don't take it as the whole book.
As crazy as it sounds, if you're Lakeview, you almost don't want to win tonight. Because the chances of beating Poland twice in one season.
It's the same case as Harding versus Canfield. I mean, I think if you're Lakeview, you show some younger talent too. You got to get them experienced for this because we know how deep your bench needs to be for the playoffs, and you need to reach deep into the bag of tricks sometimes. But I think, that's the interesting part is that offensively, Poland blows it out of the water, averaging 22.7 points per game more than Lakeview, but defensively, not a whole lot, only 1.8 points better per game defensively than Lakeview. And that's the one thing is that Lady Bulldog squad over there in Cortland, they play great defense just like the Bulldog squad in Poland. So expect a good defensive game. Poland obviously favorited because of what they've been able to do on offense, but hey, Lakeview, like we said, all it takes is one bad shooting night for you to get over that hump too. I think it's going to need to be played with a good defense, though, by Lakeview.
So this is an update, by the way. We just got this from Coach Blanche. We thank him for the text. There is forecasted bad weather on Thursday. We all know that we're likely to hit by a pretty bad storm Wednesday into Thursday. They're supposed to have Jefferson come to Poland. This game has been moved to tomorrow. They're going to be playing in the PE gym at Poland. Which means they won't be in the field house at Poland. And if you're looking to go to this game, there are instructions that say enter through the school doors located between the visitor side of the football stadium and the high school. It'll be JV 2 quarters varsity at 6:15. Again, this game will go into the PE gym, and that is due to testing for the ACTs, I think, in the field house, so they can't move that. So it's gonna be the game's gonna get in. It's gonna feel like middle school, but they will be playing. And I believe that's an old high school used to play in that before the field house back in the day. So throwback day tomorrow for Poland. They will be playing Jefferson. The girls have moved that game from Thursday to tomorrow. That game will start at roughly 6:15, and it will be in the PE gym at Poland High School, not the high school field house. So breaking news there. We just broke it, but while we're talking about the Poland matchup in the tournament, might as well bring it up.
Yep, and we appreciate our news breaking from Coach Blanche and the Lady Bulldogs there. added game on their schedule against a conference opponent, Jefferson. So get out there Tuesday if you're interested. I believe we have one more matchup in the Uniontown Lake District, and
We do. It's Hubbard. It's Hubbard versus Moody.
It's Mooney that's coming off of a huge win. This one's pretty interesting. Both these teams playing Ursuline this year as their similar opponent. Both teams victorious against the Lady Irish this season as well. Mooney will go so far 9-9. Hubbard 7-9. Mooney is averaging 40.1 points per, allowing 42.6 points again.
I believe Mooney also played South Range, so there's your common opponent too.
Yeah, and that is minus 2.5 points per for Mooney in the differential. As far as Hubbard, 32 points per game, 32.1 points per, 35.3 points against. That is 3.2 in the differential, minus 3.2. Mooney is 8 points better per game offensively than Hubbard, but Hubbard on the other side is 7.3 points a game better defensively, allow 7.3 points per game less than Mooney does. Mooney a little bit tougher of a schedule, I'd venture to argue, but looking at this, it seems to be Mooney has a little bit better of the offense, Hubbard doing a little bit better on defense, similar opponents throughout the season. Mooney obviously winning against Salem, that's a big one, but I don't think they could count out this Lady Eagle squad.
No, I think this is going to be a very defensive game. Both teams play really good defense. They're very physical. We know Hubbard likes to push you around and make you work for everything. When you go into a game against Hubbard, you're going to come out of it bruised because they like to really push you around. Like I said, they're a very physical team. So I think Cardinal Mooney, though, they can match that physicality. We saw them play really good defense on Saturday against Salem. I would be shocked if this game got much higher than the 40s.
Yeah, and you know what? The interesting thing is, too, both these teams allowing more than they're scoring. And, I mean, this doesn't tell the whole story, obviously. There's more stats to look at. These are just bare bones basics that we're looking at right now. But what that tells me is both of these teams have their nights where they struggle on offense sometimes.
We got an update from Mark Roth about Fish, too.
Senior night moved to Tuesday against Boardman at home from Friday, probably because of that impending weather. So Thank you, Mark Roth, for that. I will be there for that matchup as well. So we're just going to have to move senior night to Tuesday. So celebrations going on tomorrow. We're excited for that then. But no, looking at this Mooney Hubbard matchup, what it tells me is both these teams have their nights offensively where they've struggled, but they both have 9 and 7 wins respectively on the season. So what 9-win team, what 7-win team shows up, as Coach Gilbert of Garfield would say? Which team shows up? If one of these teams has that good offensive night, they can take it. That's the big thing is what I'm looking at there. Who has that 40-point game on offense? Who has that team offense of 40 points? Who steps up, too, for offense in such a defensive battle?
I think there is a matchup in that game that I'm looking forward to, and it's Sophie Murphy down low against Maria Fire.
That'll be a
two
fun
really good post players that can give their size to their bodies around there, and they're both pretty physical. So depending on how the refs decide to call that game, it could be a pretty brutal war down low in the paint.
Both of them are capable of dropping 22 on any given night, I believe, as well.
And what I like is they're both good free throw shooters as well. So if you're down low, you're going to get fouled a lot, and they both go to the line and shoot pretty well.
Yes, sir, they do. We go into now for the next district. I think the Lakeside district has the second most as far as our teams are concerned.
Yeah, let me pull that up, and we'll just go and we'll start with just the matchups, and then we'll dive into, of course, the ones that are YSN affiliated in their matchups. So we are going to go into the Ashtabula Lakeside district, where we'll find more teams, and we look at it, and pulling it up right now. The top line in the bracket is going to be Salem. They took the bye. They have the 2 seed, so they will not play until February 19th at 1 o'clock. And then they will play the winner of Girard versus Jefferson, another NE8 matchup in the first round, as that game will be on the 16th at 7 at Girard. And Girard just won. No, that was the boys. I'm sorry. But they have played each other. Struthers will be the next line in the district. They're the 12 seed. They will play Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, the 19 seed, and the winner of that will play the winner of Kenston against East. We go to the bottom half of the bracket. Getting the bye is going to be the 3 seed Perry. They will play the winner of Minter Lake Catholic and Geneva. That is 14 versus 17. Chagrin Falls, the 9 seed, will play at Painesville Harvey, the 15 seed, and the winner of that will play the winner of West Geauga versus Youngstown Cheney. So Salem gets the bye, and we have Girard and Jefferson playing each other, and then Struthers playing Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, and then of course East plays Kinston, and Cheney will play West Geauga. So those are our
Chagrin Falls
matchups.
is what, okay, that's what because I typed up Chagrin Falls, and there's Chagrin Falls and Chagrin Falls Kenston. So it's Kenston that I meant on this block too. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, did I look at the right one? No, it is. But
let's start with Jordan Jefferson. Very familiar opponents that are going to be playing each other. Seed wise, it's a pretty good matchup. 13 versus 18. It'll be in Girard. And I will say, like I've said it before, like Girard with CH the triplet is a lot better than Girard without CH the triplet. She missed a chunk of the season right there, right in the middle. I mean, she played the first several games, got hurt a little bit, missed maybe 4 or 5, and then came back. She scored 19 against a really good Poland defense. So CH the triplet could be a difference maker in this game.
Both these teams doing pretty decent in the NE8. Girard is 4-7 in NE8 play. Jefferson is 5-6. Girard 9-7 on the season. Jefferson 7-9. Girard's averaging 44.8 points per game, allowing 42.1 plus 2.7 in that. Jefferson scoring 38.1 points per, allowing 37.1 points per, plus 1 in that. Girard, though, is averaging a total of 6.7 points per game more offensively than Jefferson. However, Jefferson is allowing 5 points less per game than Girard defensively. Head-to-head, the first matchup early on, Girard won against Jefferson 44-42. However, the second matchup, the second time around, just a couple weeks ago, I think Jefferson won against Girard 41-25. So these teams
split, but that was probably like with that score. I gotta think it was without CH the triplet.
That one came later, though, I believe.
So I think, well, like I said, she got hurt in the middle of the season. So if it was like
could have been
2 weeks ago, it probably I'm thinking it was because 25 points is tough to think about.
Double check though, because I'll get the exact date on that one because I didn't.
You probably look at the box score and see if.
Yeah, I could also do that. That's a good call.
But we have some time to do that when we talk about their matchup more. Let's just kind of because we had some other stuff to get to.
Okay, that's fine.
Busy Monday.
But that's all I have as far as for our Girard and Jefferson.
All right, we move on to Struthers, who might have a 12 seed, but man, do they have a sneaky good 19 seed in Notre Dame Cathedral Latin that plays a brutal schedule. This will be a tough get for Struthers. They have to win to advance, and if they do, they'll play the winner of Kinston versus East. So, and that's a 7 versus 26. So you imagine Kinston wins that game. So, Struthers trying to win their one home game that they're guaranteed. They could get a second if Kinston somehow gets upset, but probably looking at one home tournament game in the field house for Struthers.
Yeah, and looking at that, it's Struthers, as far as that's concerned, is 10-8 on the season. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin's 5-9. Struthers averages 44.1 points per, allows 41.6. That is a plus of 2.5. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin scores 42.4 points per, allows 44.7. That is minus 2.3 for NDCL, but of course they play a good schedule. No common opponents in this one. Struthers averages 1.9 points better than NDCL. Or hold on, let me double check that. 1.7 points better, than NDCL on offense. And they are 3.1 points better on defense, allow 3.1 points less per game on defense. Very little, though. NDCL, very close in those metrics to Struthers. This is going to be a very close and good game.
Let's look at, just to put in perspective real quick, NDCL's schedule. They play Lutheran East, Gilmore Academy, Bay Village Bay, Kenston, Walsh Jesuit, who's in the Division I bracket. They play Villa Anna St. Joe's. They play Lake Catholic. They play Riverside, who's in that Division I. Play Walsh Jesuit twice, Gilmore twice. They play Cleveland Heights, Brush, Villa Anna St. Joe's again. I mean, they have CVCA as their last game of the season. Probably not. They actually have CVCA and then a game against PFHS. I don't know who that is, but
PFHS.
Brutal schedule.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see that matchup. I think those two are going to be very close with one another.
Chloe Nieder obviously has to have a really good game for Struthers to win that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to have her. You got Faith Stellato that's stepping up as of late too. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who the role players are that step up as well.
East and Cheney are obviously both big underdogs. Cheney going to play the 6th seed West Geauga, who took Poland to the wire in last year's district semifinal, and then East is going to play Chagrin Falls Kinston, and that'll be 7 versus 26. So both those teams very dramatic underdogs, of course.
In East's particular matchup in this one, the big thing is obviously Kinston averages a lot more points per game than East, 54.1 to 39.8. East has the advantage though defensively, allowing only 39 points per game as opposed to Kenston's 41.7. Obviously, Kenston, a little bit tougher schedule, so they play a little bit better offenses, but interesting metric to see that East is actually 2.7 points better on defense than Kenston going in this one.
And I know this is kind of a lot to kind of take in. We're throwing a lot of meat at you to chew on. So I want to remind everyone we will have a tournament preview for all divisions up on YSN Live very soon. So you'll be able to go, you'll be able to read where all the teams are, you'll be able to see the brackets for yourself. So it's not just trying to listen to us kind of regurgitate numbers at you and stuff like that. So that will be coming soon, a tournament preview on ysnlive.com. But for now, that is Division 1 and 2. Tomorrow we'll dive in.
We got East 1 and 2 district. East Liverpool's got the bye.
You're right. We do have the
one district. We have one more game, and it's Beaver Local. I think the Philo Electrics, nice name, I like that, are hosting Beaver Local. Just real quickly to break this down, this one's actually going to be pretty close. Philo is 7 and 9, Beaver Local 7 and 8. Philo averaging 40.3 points per, allowing 47.8. That is minus 7.5 as far as that's concerned. Beaver Local 42.2 points per, allowing 42.3, minus 1/10 of a point on that 0.01 for Beaver Local. Straight up head-to-head, Beaver Local is 1.9 points better on offense, metrics-wise to Kenston, and they are 5.5 points better on defense than Philo in that one. But going to be an interesting matchup. Beaver Local is the road team against the Electrics.
It's electric. It's electric.
But that is
electric slide.
East
the
Liverpool
electric side better be their walkout song.
Yeah, that should be. It absolutely should be. And East Liverpool got the first round bye in the East 2 district. That's just in a different region of Division 2, but still in our YSN coverage.
And as far as Buckeye 8, I believe Edison is Division 3, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct, I believe. Yes.
So that'll be Buckeye 8, but Edison will be talked about tomorrow. They're having a good year. I mean, so we'll definitely be hoping that they get a favorable draw as well when we talk about the Division 3 tournament brackets tomorrow, as well as Division 4 as well. We're going to try to split them into 2 days because we got a lot more to talk about. Because Ty, the power rankings, they're up, and we're going to look at them and see where these teams fall. A couple of teams, yeah, they lost this weekend, so they're going to get hit. We're going to see how far they'll fall and who takes their place. Without further ado, these are the power rankings, and they are brought to you by our good friends over at Armida's Kachina, which is perfect for your home graduation party or any other outdoor setting. Book Armita's Cantina today. They have unique foods, including their famous stuffed peppers, delicious chicken sandwiches, and even more. And don't forget, they can bring music, so they can turn your party into a party. Woo! And really get your guests jamming. You can book Armita's Cantina today by calling 330-787-1932. 330-787-1932 is the number to call. You can also visit armitascantina.com or visit their Facebook page as well. So, without further ado, once again, our power rankings brought to you by Armita's Cantina. Let's take a look. Hold on.
Oh, I get the big screen. Wow. Anthony figures it out. No, I mean, this is going to be exciting to see where these teams fall, as there's been a lot of movement.
I see it. We have the graphics. So here's what they shaped out. The video's not out yet.
Okay. Howland number 1.
Howland gets the 1 seed as Salem falls to 2. They were 1 last week. Salem fell to Moody. And obviously, they're not going to fall too far because Louisville also falling on Saturday to Canton Hoover. West Branch stays at 4. Poland stays at 5. Liberty stays at 6. So 4, 5, 6 all stayed the same.
Waterloo moved up. I mean, this is pretty much what I said should have occurred too. I like the top 10. The only thing that really surprises me, down at number 10, Garfield still hanging on. Champion and Brookfield did not break through. But that
here's the thing, Garfield beat Champion. I think that saved them.
That definitely saved them. Brookfield, I think, still won, but Brookfield has to be, I think, 11 right now. Champion probably dropped a little bit.
For Brookfield, this is their week. They have Champion tonight. They still have to play Garfield. They still have to play Liberty again. No, they still have to play Champion again, and they still have another matchup with Garfield. So Brookfield still has a lot ahead of them. So they're sitting under that top 10, but Garfield survived. I think if Champion won that game in overtime, it'd be Champion at 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I agreed with everything, though. Everything moved up 1 as far as Springfield, Canfield, and Waterloo. Liberty stayed the same. Poland stayed the same. And I was agreeing. I agree with everything. I mean, I think Holland or Louisville is interchangeable, but since Louisville just lost, I agree with putting Holland at 1.
And I'm just going through. I want to be transparent with my vote and seeing how it lines up. I didn't have too many things different from this one. Like last week, just a couple flip-flops. My reasoning for having Louisville stay above Salem was they both lost, and I looked at their losses and said Salem lost to Mooney, Louisville lost to Canton Hoover. Hoover's loss is a little bit more understandable, so I just had Louisville stay at 2 and Salem drop to 3. But that's just a little flip-flop. The last 2 weeks, I've had Liberty ahead of Poland, this 5-6 flip, only because they've been ahead of Poland all year, and that time they dropped, they both lost. So I didn't think Poland did anything to just jump Liberty all of a sudden. So I don't think the Struthers loss is any worse or better than Brookfield. So I have Liberty still ahead of Poland in 5 and 6, and then let's see. Everything else I think is exactly the same for mine. So nope, I had Brookfield as 10, Garfield stayed on. So I threw a bone to Brookfield because they won this week and Garfield lost. I mean, Brookfield went undefeated this week, so I actually had Brookfield at 10.
I'm pretty much the same with you, Anthony. Honestly, I think 1, 2, and 3 is perfect. Like I said, if you're going to put Louisville 1, I think you have to put Howland 3. I think Salem deserves to stay at 2, at least temporarily right now.
So do you buy the whole, Louisville's loss was more respectable, so they should be ahead of Salem?
I think so, but I think there's arguments too that Salem has 3 losses to Louisville, 5 too. So
it's valid. It's valid. It's
I think you could honestly shuffle those top 3 teams any way you want, and it could be valid that way. You could go Salem 1, Louisville 1, Howland 1, and it could be valid for any of those 3 teams being shuffled.
And this is why the further you get in the season, the harder it is, because you can't just go head to head, because of course Salem beat Howland.
Yeah. and Howland beat Louisville. So I mean, it's all over the place.
Unfortunately, we'll never see a Louisville-Salem matchup, but I think would be really fun, and I think Louisville-West Branch would be very fun as well.
I think so as well. But I mean, those top three I think are interchangeable. Heck, I think the next 3, 4, 5, and 6 you could shuffle any way you really want to, and I think I could be happy with that too. But West Branch, Poland, Liberty, I think are very.
How about this though? I just realized this. Poland moved their game on Thursday to Tuesday, so now Poland is going to play 3 games in 3 days.
They can definitely, I mean, go 17-2 then.
They're going to play tonight against Lakeview, Tuesday against Jefferson, Wednesday against South Range.
Those are 3 big games too. You get those wins, that's going to be huge for Poland.
Especially like the South Range one. I know they're not power ranking, but you give a little bit of respect to games that decide the conference championship. So as long as South Range, once again, they have to take care of business tonight and beat Struthers. So if that game goes the Raiders' way and they go into Wednesday's game with the 1-loss record right along with Poland, then that game really decides the NE8. Even if South Range just loses, it still kind of decides the NE8 because South Range could tie if Poland wins tonight against Lakeview. So I put a little bit more weight. There's a little bit more pressure every time the league lead is on the line. So that's a big game for Poland in my eyes.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I mean,
Waterloo's got Jackson Milton tonight too, so that's a big one for them.
That is a big one for them. I'm just surprised Liberty's not in the top 5.
Like I said, I had them flipped. I had Liberty 5, Poland 6.
I consider the win against Garfield, I think, big enough for Liberty to crack into the top 5. But I mean, they're right there. So I mean, at least they're still on the list.
No disrespect to Girard, but Poland didn't look fantastic against Girard. They won by 11, which is, I mean, you sit there and you say, well, they won by 11. How can they not look fantastic? Well, they're usually beating teams by like 33.
Here's an interesting question. What loss looks worse? Salem lost to Cardinal Mooney or a Liberty loss to Brookfield?
Ooh, well, Brookfield, when Brookfield won, they were on the power rankings. They dropped off that week because they also lost to Garfield that same week. You're going to find out. Well, you won't because Moody is actually Division 2.
That's what's interesting though, because I mean, just looking at the power rankings, I mean, what one do you consider a worse loss? A Mooney?
I think it's pretty even. I mean, straight record wise, Brookfield has the better record, but I think obviously Moody plays a lot better of a schedule.
It's an interesting topic, though, and I mean that's just another debate topic to talk about. But I mean, there's plenty of teams too. 1-loss teams, both Liberty and Waterloo, 6 and 7 right now, putting together good seasons.
This isn't straight up my opinion, but this is what's going to happen because I told that when Liberty lost, they said they're going to be in the 5 to 10 for the rest of the season because it's almost like when the mid-major finally gets their chance and loses, that's what Liberty is going to feel like. They're going to be like, oh, they're just going to be the top 5, but no matter what they do, their strength of schedule now is going to keep them from jumping Poland, West Branch, Louisville, Salem, Howland. And that's just the reality of things. They got their one because they were undefeated, and they deserved that spot because Salem had the loss, and it was like, let's give them their light. But then, unfortunately for Liberty, they lost to Brookfield, and that's gonna hurt them as far as the power rankings. Once again, power rankings mean nothing. They are still the 1 seed in their district. They have every possibility to win a district championship. So they could probably win a district championship and tell the power rankings to kick rocks. But I highly doubt that they'll jump back into the top 4 unless there's some really big chaos.
Can Canfield drop off the list with another loss to Howland?
It's hard because Canfield's talent and I mean – everyone thinks you're just a better team. Like if they played Springfield, Canfield will win. I mean, let's be real. If they played Garfield, Canfield would probably win that game. So it's hard. It's hard to take Canfield off. It really is. They've been struggling, like staying in that 8th spot, even though they've had some losses. It's hard to take a team as talented as Canfield off the list.
I think that number 10 spot's up for grabs between Champion, Brookfield, and Garfield this week. I think whoever comes out of this week looking the best right now can take that 10 spot, especially with them all matching up with each other.
Can Waterloo get any higher? Do they have enough on their schedule to jump Liberty?
See, it's tough because Waterloo, I don't think, has any top 10 power ranked opponents. This is a big game.
They still have Springfield again.
True. They do have one more game with Springfield.
And really, Liberty doesn't have any more top 10 opponents because Brookfield and Champion are both out of the top 10.
Then,
Champion.
If Springfield stays top 10, Waterloo beats them, I think you might be able to rank Waterloo over Liberty then, 6 over 7.
Because 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, there you go.
Couldn't resist. All right, let's go to the boys and see what they look like. Camel, East Liverpool, Springfield stay at 1, 2, 3. Actually, everyone in the top 4 holds. This is where it gets crazy, though. Struthers jumps from unranked to 5. Liberty jumps from unranked to 6.
Gotta give respect to the Wildcats, and I'm glad that they did after that big win over Poland. Struthers looking like the kings of the NE8 again, as they're starting to get some distance with that lead.
And you'll look, Struthers, what they did, they got the win on Friday.
Wasn't it?
They didn't play Saturday, did they?
It was a 17-point victory over Poland too. It was a decent win.
But they weren't ranked. They also have their losses this year. They lost to Warren Harding. They lost to Gerard. They almost lost to South Range. So not a perfect team, but that win obviously impressed a lot of people and got them up to the 5 spot.
How about Liberty?
Liberty
6s too on both the boys and the girls side. This is now going to potentially set up, if everything stays the same, a 1 versus 6 matchup in the future with Camel and Liberty.
And look, the last time those two teams played, it was a 2-point game. So Liberty has proven that they can play with number 1, of course, and the second matchup will be in Liberty.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Campbell did not look great against LeBray. They had to go into overtime to win that game.
Yeah,
So,
and it's going to be interesting.
West Branch falls a little bit because they obviously put up a clunker against Salem, which is unranked. That's a bad loss for them. Bounce back on Saturday with a win out of conference.
Only dropped in 3 spots, not too bad. How about Heartland climbing the list, though?
Heartland climbed, and Louisville, Lowville, what? They dropped
stayed same. No, they stayed same.
It was 9-9. Okay.
9-9, yeah. Lowville lost to Springfield, but they kept it close. They kept it close enough. I think that you got to still give the Rockets their respect for what they have done this season. They have the only win over number 1 ranked Camel.
And of course, Cheney's starting to drop off a little bit too.
Cheney right now is on that fork in the road. They've had a tough schedule, but they've dropped some considerable amount of games. Obviously, yeah, they lost the number 1 Camel Memorial, and that kind of helped shoot them down a little bit. But then they lost again. Just Friday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they lost to Warren Harding.
Yeah, that's right. So it's gonna be it's one of those moments now where Cheney got to kind of get the wins together here and figure themselves out right before tournament time.
And that was revenge for Warren Harding because of course they lost in the heartbreaking fashion in Cheney when the tying 3 was actually not a 3. Because half of the kid's foot was on the line.
Yep. As that heartbreaker was burned into the heads of Harding, and they made sure they got it.
I am so impressed with Struthers going from unranked to 5. That's a big jump.
You disagree, or you're happy that they're ranked?
I disagree, to be honest.
You don't think they deserve to be 5?
I think they deserve to be on the list. I don't think they deserve to be up there at 5. I had them at 7. That's where I voted them at. Unranked to 7. Going to unranked to 5 for beating Poland, who's not ranked.
They were at the time, though. They were 5. They basically swapped Struthers and Poland for whoever NE8 leader was in that one.
I'm looking at
I do agree with putting I don't know though, because really that 5, 6, and 7 I think can be interchangeable too. Honestly, with Liberty, West Branch, and Struthers, I think you could kind of interchange them.
Struthers hasn't had that big oh my gosh win this year to me. Poland was it. Poland was like the one where it goes, oh, okay. But They beat Hubbard. They're supposed to beat Hubbard. They lost to Warren Harding. They beat Niles. They're supposed to beat Niles. They beat VASJ up actually they won by 4. So it's a win, but it's one of those ones that it was a coin toss. It was a 4-point win. They lost to Girard. They almost lost to South Range. They beat Jefferson in a close game. They lost to Black River. They beat Liberty by 2, so that's a toss-up. They beat Poland the first time by 10. So, they definitely got better. Mooney's a big win. I mean, they lost to Mooney, by
That was the
4.
first game of the season, though. So I mean, you gotta.
And that's 2 unranked losses.
But I mean, you look at it though. I mean, they beat Liberty head to head with 4 losses apiece. I think you got to put Struthers over Liberty in that. And I mean, in those unranked losses though, right now though, but Mooney has made an appearance on the power rankings. Black River's not on. Girard is unranked, and Harding is not under coverage for their 4 losses.
And they would be ranked, and I think Black River would be ranked.
So I think that West Branch loss to Salem is really because Salem only has, I think, 5 wins on the season now. I mean, yeah, they're gaining momentum, but the worst loss on Struthers' schedule then is either Mooney or Girard, then I think. So and then worst loss on West Branches is probably Salem's, I would think, because Salem, I mean, it's hard to say that but I mean, Salem just doesn't have a whole lot of wins this season on the boys' side. But then looking at Liberty's schedule, that's another one I want to just check real quick and just see where the Leopards' losses came against before we quickly make our picks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if we have to go with that.
Their 4 losses against Harding, Hoban, Struthers, and Camel Memorial. And Struthers and Camel Memorial were by 2.
So I had West Branch dropping from 4 to 6, not 4 to 7. I had Liberty at 9. I kept Poland in the top 10 because I still think they're a really good basketball team. I had them at 8, Struthers at 7. My top 3. It's interesting. The girls is hard to decipher who's going to be the top 4, and the boys is hard, like 5 through 10.
Yeah, because we know like top 4.
We know Camel, East Liverpool, and Springfield are playing just at a different level right now.
Yeah, they're all in their own realm. Louisville's pretty much has hung around the list from 7 to like all the way up to 4, I think, this entire.
The girls' side, there's like a lot of really good teams, but none that are like, oh my gosh, they're just on a roll. They're dominating right now.
Yeah, honestly, there's been a lot of
every
with the 1 seed.
Every team on the girls' poll has proven this year that they're beatable. They're I mean, not to say that there haven't been, other than Springfield, everyone's been beatable on the boys' side, but it's a different animal.
It's been interesting for the number 1 seed because like Cheney held it for a week, Boardman held it for like a week, then East Liverpool grabbed a hold of it for like 3 or 4, and now Camels grabbed a hold of it for 3, but East Liverpool stayed right there at 2. So it's like we know those teams are the top teams, and then Springfield's came out of the box and they've consistently been top 5, I think, since they've been ranked. So
yeah, except for like the first couple of weeks when they like we waited until they got like 4 or 5 games under their belt.
Yeah, and now they've been consistently ranked. So like, yeah, those 3 teams just playing at a different level right now.
It's interesting. It is interesting.
Truthfully, too, all have potential to make a nice little run in the tournament. When we get to those boys' side brackets, it's going to be fun to look at.
I think so too. I think Liberty's got a big game ahead of them against Camel. How far could Liberty jump if they beat Camel?
Oh, I think you got to figure Liberty can get into the top 3 then, right? I would think so. Top 5, maybe not top 3. Maybe
it depends. Depends on how they win, and how they win is important too. Eye test. But without further ado, we have to get to these picks. And Ty, we're just gonna go. We're not gonna break down the games really, unfortunately. We're just gonna pick them. And
10 minutes.
You kept track of the weekend. I lost track because we split on so many.
I
know I lost Friday bad.
You lost. You lost. I got Jackson Milton over McDonald, Valley Christian over Columbiana, Struthers over Poland, Jefferson over Girard, Campbell over LeBray. You got Brookfield over Crestview, Wellsville over United, and Niles over Cheney. So I got 2 more on you, and that puts my lead at 15.
I think it was 14 because it was a dozen. Right?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a dozen.
Yeah,
Now
14.
it's 14.
14.
Going out swinging, guys. You got to respect me for that.
Close. Actually, Niles girls saved you too. They saved you some points,
and it was bad. It was a big one too. Let's go into the first game of the poll, and it is what I think is the marquee game of the night. You could have other conversations, but I have champion Brookfield. Brookfield has 63% of the vote. Ty, you want me to take it, or do you want it?
You could go ahead and take it.
I will take Brookfield at home to win this game. They have 63% of the fan vote. They haven't played each other yet. This is one of 2.
This is a big win, too, for one of those teams to try to make an appearance on the power rankings. I'm going Brookfield as well.
All right, we go into the next one. East versus Warren JFK. I'm picking JFK with 71% of the fan vote. Tie.
Fly.
I'm just going to go.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right. Liberty versus LeBray. Liberty has 75% of the fan vote. I'll take Liberty.
Yep, give me Liberty.
All right.
Give me that.
Newton Falls versus Garfield. The G-men have 75%. I will go with Garfield.
Yep, Lady G-men.
Niles versus Girard. The Indians have 100% of the fan vote. I'll go with Girard.
Yep, give me the Lady Indians.
Lordstown versus Wyndham, and the Bombers have 62% of the fan vote. Lordstown, no wins yet to their credit. They won't get one tonight. I'll take the Bombers.
Bombers.
Hubbard versus Jefferson. The Falcons have 62% of the vote. I'll take the Falcons.
Yeah, let the Lady Falcons fly.
Columbiana versus East Palestine. Columbiana has 100% of the fan vote, and I'll take the Clippers. Poland going to Lakeview and Cortland. The Bulldogs have 100% of 9 votes, and I'll take Poland.
Yeah, give me Poland as well.
Southeast versus Moody, and Moody has 100% of the vote. I'll take Moody coming off the big win over Salem.
Yeah, I think Mooney's gaining some momentum. Give me the Lady Cards.
Lowville versus McDonald. The Blue Devils, 75% of the vote. I'll take McDonald.
This is going to be a lot closer, I think, than what the fan vote's suggesting. McDonald's getting some big wins as of late, though. Give me the Lady Blue Devils.
United will be hosting Lisbon tonight. The Eagles have 83% of the fan vote. Give me United.
Yeah, give me United as well. I think they're going to be angry after that loss.
This is the big one, Ty. This is the one you have. Jackson Milton goes to Waterloo with everything on the line. Basically, Jackson Milton loses this game. There goes the league right out the window.
It's going to Waterloo pretty much.
62-38. Well, no. Waterloo still has Springfield they have to deal with.
They have to deal with, but they would have to trip up a lot because Springfield 3 losses in the
Waterloo still has to play McDonald again. So Springfield still has hope, even if Waterloo wins tonight. Because
but they would need to hope. They can't control their own destiny. Right. That's the problem.
Neither can Jackson Milton anymore either because they lost to McDonald.
They're just trying to trip up Waterloo.
So Jackson Milton has to hope that Waterloo loses some other time too. But this one would go far. I can't pick against the Vikings and what they've done. I know you're probably going to pick the Vikings too, and this is one chance to split. But every time I think, this is going to be the next test for Waterloo, they come up with it. So I'll take Waterloo tonight.
Yeah, sweethearts. Full-fledged. I think the Lady Vikings are going to come out with a close victory. I'm excited because these are both small rosters, and that means they got big hearts on every single one of them. So we're going to see a great game tonight.
Middle Ridge versus Sebring. I'll take the Rams. They have 88% of the fan vote.
Yeah, give me the Lady Rams as well. Why not?
Wellsville versus Valley Christian. The Eagles have 67% of the fan vote. I'll take Valley.
Home for Valley?
Yes.
Yeah, give me Valley.
Camel versus Crestview, and Crestview only with one loss at home this year. Home again, and they have 87% of the fan vote. I'll take Crestview.
They got a big win too under their belt, so give me Crestview as well.
Maplewood versus Badger. This is a Badger team that has 67% of the fan vote. I'll take Badger.
Yeah, give me Badger as well.
Struthers traveling to South Range. The Raiders need a win to make Wednesday's matchup with Poland a straight-up NE8 championship. Right now, the Raiders have a slight edge, 56% to 44%, but with no idea what the status of Lexi Giles is, that makes me super nervous, and I'm going to pick Struthers.
I thought I'd split with you on this one. Give me the Lady Wildcats.
And then we'll go to the last one, split 50-50, as it's the rematch between Springfield and Western Reserve. Last time it went into overtime. Springfield got the narrow victory. This time it's in Western Reserve. I'm still going to take the Tigers. I think they have more talent.
Give me the Lady Blue Devils at home.
Finally, we split. Okay.
I'll give you that split because you know what? Just because these teams that are everyone except Waterloo, which knock on wood for the Lady Vikings, they haven't suffered the chaos yet. All these other teams on this Scarlet side are throwing wrenches at each other, and it would be perfect fitting for Western Reserve after losing to Jackson Milton and McDonald.
Needs this bad.
Springfield losing to Jackson Milton, McDonald beating Western Reserve and Jackson Milton, but losing big to Waterloo. It would only be fitting now that Western Reserve just throws a wrench into the whole thing and beats Springfield at home now.
Like Jackson Milton, Springfield is an opportunity where one more loss just kind of does it. It's over. It's done. So
Western Reserve looked good too. Against Waterloo, they looked really good. Against Jackson Milton, they looked good. And against McDonald, they looked good. All in losses, but hey, they've kept it close with all the competition.
So we'll see what the Tigers can do. They will carry in their newest member of the 1,000 Point Club and JC Mullen into that game. All those games can be seen on ysnlive.com. That'll be tonight. Sorry, I had a little bit of a gassy thing. That's tonight. And Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3, Power Hour from 3 to 4. Me and Ty, we're taking a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2 with more tournament action breakdowns, Division 3 and 4. We'll have Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winners announced, and we'll also have the Price is Right challenge from the Baird Brothers new nominees. And we'll also have picks and recaps of tonight's action as well, as always. So we'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. And once again, Casual Sports next, Power Hour after that, then basketball tonight. Do not miss it.